Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Sternfeld, and I'm the chair of the Hallmusco Conservatory of Music. Let me just move this out of the way so I can see you. And I'm here to tell you some stuff. I'm really, really glad that you're interested in learning more about Chapman and the Conservatory of Music that we have here. So I'm going to tell you all about it. That's me, Dr. Sternfeld, and that's my email. If you have any questions at any point in this process, feel free to email me. It's my last name without the D on the end. So I'm Sternfeld, and my email is sternfeld@chapman.edu. If you have any general questions, you would email music@chapman.edu. And our administrative assistant, Katie Silberman, will answer those for you. And Katie is here. Thank you, Katie. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to share a few pieces of information with you and some pictures and stuff like that. And then some of our students are here to answer some questions. So Michael and Ian and Connor are going to be here to answer your questions, and I'll just get out of the way. One second. So this is our structure here at Chapman. We are the Conservatory of Music, which you might think of like a department, even though we're called a conservatory. And we are housed in the College of Performing Arts. And then the College of Performing Arts is housed in Chapman University. So we are part of the College of Performing Arts, which is us, plus the theater department, plus the dance department. This is you. You are asking, you are saying, I love music. Why is Chapman the place for me? I'm going to tell you a few things that might help you have some answers to that question. Our teachers are amazing. We have incredibly well-respected, world-class teachers who teach and perform all over the world, especially here in the greater LA area. We have some really amazing performance opportunities to offer you in our facilities, especially our crowning jewel of a concert hall, which I'll show you pictures of in a minute. But here's the part that I think is extra persuasive. Lots of schools have great teachers and great facilities. We are an undergraduate conservatory of music, and that's not super common. So it's our job to train undergrads. We don't have grad students. We don't have a grad program. So that means whenever there's a chance to perform, it's you all, the undergrads, who do those performances. And when guests come or special events happen, that's for you. So as it says here, you know your teachers and your teachers know you. We're not a huge conservatory and we're all undergrad. So we can give you the personalized education that Chapman is really striving for. I think that's a wonderful thing. That's our music building. On a beautiful, lovely Southern California day. That's Oliphant Hall. The big, tall building in the middle is where most of our classes and rehearsals and practices and things happen, not all of them. And that little attached building over to the right is our rehearsal hall, which is attached to the building where a lot of our ensembles rehearse, where our student Ian is sitting right this minute. There he is. Here's some of the stuff that's inside this building. We have a recital hall. So if you're working toward a senior recital, you'll get to give your performance in our very lovely recital hall. We have a truly impressive pair of technology classrooms, music technology classrooms that are just bursting with equipment and opportunities to use them that all go to you, the undergrads. And there's a few other things listed there that you can take a look at. Those are the particularly amazing ones. There's our rehearsal hall. This is where Ian is sitting right now. That's our orchestra rehearsing. I'll come back to more pictures. I broke up the text with some pictures so you won't get too bored. Here's what I want to tell you about the overall scope of what we offer. In the Conservatory of Music, we offer 4 majors. You can get a degree in these 4 things: a BM, Bachelor of Music, in Performance, a BM in Composition, a BM in Music Education, and a Bachelor of Arts, a BA in Music. And as I noted there, you can double major. You can double major in music and something else: chemistry, physics, English, history, any of the things we offer at Chapman. And there are some combinations of things you can double major in within music. Not all combinations, but most of them work. So there's plenty of room to do that in 4 years. and still graduate, which I think is pretty rare. Here's a couple of things about each of those 4 degrees. So here's the highlights of the first one, the Bachelor of Music and Performance. So if your goal is to be a performer, you want to be a professional violinist or a professional singer, let's say, professional pianist, the BM in Performance is the degree for you. You would take our classical core, and then beyond that classical core, that's Western classical music, you get to do some other stuff. Depending on what kind of performance, that'll signal what kind of other stuff. So some students take jazz and pop and musical theater studies. Guitar and percussion have a lot of emphasis on popular and commercial and global styles. Strings, woodwinds, and brass play in our large ensembles like orchestra and wind symphony, and also in our small ensembles, our chamber music groups. And in piano, we have a solo piano program if you want to be a pianist. And we also have a collaborative piano program, which is for those who want to work with small groups, duos, trios, 4 hands, or accompanying large ensembles and working with them. There's some of the ensembles. That's a giant list, which I think is pretty impressive. We have the things you might expect in a conservatory, multiple choirs, an orchestra, a wind symphony. We have some jazz-focused groups, but here are a few other highlights I want to point out. We have our own opera company. Opera Chapman puts on an opera every year. So it's all undergrads every year, which is amazing and quite rare. We have a commercial music ensemble that makes music with computers right alongside their instruments. We have an incredibly popular mariachi ensemble, which is the first in Southern California at the college level, which is very cool. We have an early music ensemble, which plays medieval and Renaissance music. We have a new music ensemble, which plays music of the last 50 to 100 years. Some opportunities for those of you that are performance-oriented, and everyone else too. Just a few pictures to demonstrate all of this. That's a small ensemble at work. They're in our rehearsal hall. There's another small ensemble at work. That's the percussion ensemble, as you might guess. There's another small ensemble at work. That's one of our jazz groups performing in one of our performance spaces. Okay, so those are some highlights of the BM in Performance. The BM in Composition is our second BM degree. If you're a composer, if you are writing music and you're looking forward to continuing to learn about how to do that, this program is the one for you. I think the most interesting and valuable thing about our composition program is that you write stuff and then you get to hear that stuff performed. Again, fairly rare for an undergrad institution. We have an ensemble that is dedicated to playing new pieces of music, and that includes yours. So the new music ensemble will play your pieces. And the composition program brings in guests, performers and groups who will read or perform your works. Here's the highlights of the third program we offer, the Bachelor of Music in Music Ed. After 4 years, you get an undergraduate degree, a BM in Music Ed. But we have at Chapman what we call a 4+1, which means if you do one further year, you graduate with 2 other things, a teaching credential that allows you to teach in the public school system here in California, and a Master's of Arts in Teaching, an MAT, that allows you to get that job in the K through 12 system, but at an even higher rate and with more of a chance of landing that job because you have a master's. So it's a 5-year master's program that gets you your credential and your master's. So that's for those of you that want to teach as a goal. And fourth and last, but not least, is our Bachelor of Arts in Music program. We think of this as our most flexible degree. It's the program for those of you that are interested in the world of music, but may not want to focus heavily on performance or composition. It's what you do if you're interested in interdisciplinary studies, if you want to double major in something that works with music, if you want to be a music academic, a musicologist, a music historian, an arts administrator, a music producer, and you can sort of shape your focus. Once you become a junior or a senior, you pick the classes you want to take, and it allows you to go into the world of music with that flexibility. We have four majors. We also have four minors, and here they are. A music minor in film music, music technology, music business, and music performance and academic, which we call the general music minor. They're very popular and really successful. People seem to really enjoy them. In some cases, you can do a combo of a music major and a music minor, or maybe you're just here today to learn about the minors and not be a music major, and that is great too. There they are. A few more pictures to break up me talking. This is our recital hall. That's Salmon Recital Hall as seen from the booth up above the seats. You can see a student practicing with their teacher, helping them out, getting ready for a performance later. And you can see a little tiny corner of the technology that's up there in the booth to make your performance look and sound great. And there's another shot from the booth from a slightly different angle. It's a very lovely recital hall. That is one corner of one of our music technology classrooms. The guy in the red shirt is teaching the class. You have to just sort of imagine that the classroom goes back off to your right, which it does, to show you lots more of the technology that's going on in that room. I have two more things that I think make Chapman particularly special. One of them is our location. We are, half an hour to an hour from LA, depending on traffic. And what that means is that the people that teach here work there. They play in the LA Chamber Orchestra, the LA Opera. They play at movie studios for film scores regularly. They work with the Pacific Symphony, which is also nearby, and the LA Philharmonic Orchestra. So your teachers are professional working musicians in LA, which I think is great. We're also about 10 minutes from Disneyland, which is fun, but also incredibly useful for music majors. It really, as it says there, it opened doors for our students. We bring in guests from Disney, not just Disneyland, but the Disney company, who can give you master classes, internships, and eventually jobs. A number of our students go on to work at the Disney Corporation in various music fields, which is really amazing. Here's my favorite Disney story. I once had a student that said she was going to be a few minutes late to class because her work schedule changed. She was very, very sorry. And I said, why would your work schedules change? And she said, because the normal Belle at Disneyland called in sick and she had to go be Belle. So she put on her Belle costume and went to Disneyland and sang, and then came a few minutes late to my class, 10 minutes down the road. Here's my second element for why I think Chapman is especially unique, and that's our Musco Center for the Arts. It's our concert hall, and it's gorgeous. I'm going to show you a picture. It just got built a few years ago. It seats about 1,000 people, and everybody in the music program gets to perform there every year at some point or another. Everybody in music, and also your colleagues in theater and dance. That's what it looks like from the outside. Isn't that gorgeous? And this is what it looks like on the inside. That's our choir performing recently. And this is what it looks like from the stage. So if you are here at Chapman, that's what it'll look like. Just imagine that all the seats are filled and people are cheering for you in our concert hall. So it's not just a beautiful building. What it means is that it draws people to campus. Professional ensembles and artists come to perform at the Musco Center every semester. And that means opportunities for you. So you get to play with them and sing with them and perform with them. They give master classes and do Q&A sessions so that you really get to see some pretty intensely famous people come to campus. Okay, I'm about to wrap it up and ask our students to do some talking. But this is just everybody's contact info. If you want to take a screenshot or use your phone to take a picture of that or something, feel free. That's me, Dr. Sternfeld. Just to remind you one last time, there's my email. Katie, who's been here this whole time, is our administrative assistant. If you have a technical question or a question about how to apply, you can direct it to Katie. Morgan Huntington is our admissions coordinator, so she would answer questions you have about admissions or applications or anything like that. And if you have a general question and you don't know who to ask, music@chapman.edu, and we will figure it out. You can email any of these emails about any of those questions, and we will figure it out. All right. I am going to stop sharing. Hey, everybody. Now I can see some of you. Thanks to everybody for being here. I would love to hear your questions. Before I open it up to all of your questions, I want to just invite Michael and Ian and Connor to introduce themselves. Those are our current Chapman students that are with us today. Michael and Ian and Connor, if you can just say, you can tell us your name and what year you are here at Chapman, and what you're majoring in, what your instrument is, stuff like that. Ian, will you go first?
Sure. Hello. Can you hear me? Awesome. So I'm Ian McFarland. I'm currently a senior at Chapman University. My majors are music performance and percussion and music education with an instrumental emphasis. Yeah.
Thanks, Ian. Michael?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Michael. I'm a senior, cello performance major, music tech minor.
Excellent combo. And Connor, you're here, right? Yes, here you are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Connor. I am a double major in music composition and trumpet performance with a minor in film music.
Three different music. Yeah, we got two doubles and one triple studying student here. Great. I'm gonna stop talking and invite any of you to ask questions, especially ask questions about Ian, of Ian and Michael and Connor. As a way to kick that off, I'll ask the first one, and that is just to ask the three of you to say just a word about what you like about Chapman. Why are you glad you're here? Any of you can kick that off.
I can go first. I'm going to take the easy one. There's so many performance opportunities, like so much. I perform all the time to a point where it almost feels like too much, but it's never too much. There's never any shortage of opportunity to perform, and never any shortage of like great venues to perform in. We have, Musco Center for the Arts. We have Salmon Recital Hall. There's Memorial Hall. There's even this room that I'm in right now, which is Korean Hall, can be used as an extent as like a recital thing. Plenty of spaces. So I feel like being able to perform as much as I am able to, it's something you won't get in any other university. So yeah.
Yeah, just chiming in to what Ian said, something you'll never get at any other university is those performance opportunities with this size. One of the things that I always say about Chapman, well, there's two things. The first of which is that Chapman University has pretty much, I mean, pound for pound, the same output as a large scale conservatory like USC or UCLA or any of those, really, really big music schools. But with about the third of the size. And that means much smaller class sizes, much smaller private instruction centers, and also a lot more freedom to be able to explore things you're really interested in. The other thing I always say is that like anything at Chapman is really possible with an email. The things I've been able to do just by like reaching out to someone who I was like vaguely aware of, and for me to get like an instant response back and be like, here's how this works and here's what you'd have to do to be able to do this. And like, it's never no, it's always, wait, actually, that's kind of interesting. How do we open that up for you and figure out a way to, to do that? Like, I'm not a BA. But I got to take lessons this semester in doing dissertation because I was just really interested in that and what that looks like. And it's like in a field of mine, it's in film music. It's in like an interest, and the fact that I was able to do that is crazy. Like that really shouldn't be happening, but everyone just wants people to do cool stuff here.
Yeah, I think one big thing I like about Chapman is, because of our size, it kind of allows us to be a little more creative with exactly the path we get to go down. And kind of like what the other two were saying as well. I mean, you have very personal or personable relations with your teachers, and they're very dynamic as far as what they do and what they're involved in. And so generally, if there is something you're interested in, there is going to be somebody here. There's going to be somebody here that has some sort of strings attached to that area. And they're all very supportive. Yeah.
Thank you, students, prospective students and parents. Questions you'd like to ask Ian, Michael, and Connor, or me? Oh, hang on.
I have a question in the chat.
Let's hear it.
It says, I was wondering if a lot of Chapman performance opportunities are just for performance majors or if they're open to general music education majors as well. For example, Opera Chapman, is it only for vocal performance?
That is an excellent question. And the answer is all of them are open to everyone. Anyone can audition for any of our ensembles. You don't have to be even a music major. You can be a physics major. So all of our ensembles are open. The big ones anyway. A teacher might put together a string quartet made of particular students, but all of the large ensembles and most of the small ensembles are open to anyone. So if you're a BA or a music ed major, not only do we encourage you to perform, you actually have to perform. It's part of the Conservatory's curriculum that you absolutely have to perform, and you have all those opportunities to do it.
Yeah, a
Chapman would
perfect
love
example of this is oh, sorry, Sternfeld.
No.
A perfect example of this is our concerto and aria competition for the instrumental side this year. Not even a music minor, not even a major, just someone who's absolutely super, really incredible at piano and super passionate, and just absolutely destroyed. It was incredible.
That's right.
All right, I've got another question. To the seniors, do you feel like you have good job opportunities in your field? And have any of you interned during your time at Chapman? If so, what have you done? Go for it.
Yeah. So yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. So I have had 2 internships and now actually work fully part-time while at Chapman. So I am really headstrong in the film music world, a lot of media scoring, and through our film music professors here, that's Nolan Markey and Dave Volpe, I was able to get connected with a major Hollywood orchestrator. His name is Tim Rodier, and I now do a lot of work and had a year-long internship with Omni Music Publishing. And from there, that got me enough experience for those professors to actually start be interested in hiring me directly. So I am now a full staff member of Nolan Markey's production team. I get to work on shows like Star Wars, Bad Batch, The Legend of Vox Machina, that sort of thing. And also doing, sporadic arranging work and a lot of connections for more full-time work after college. I just got back from Game SoundCon in Burbank. Amidst just meeting all sorts of people. I've gone up to tons of LA studio sessions recently. I've been just up and down the West Coast doing all sorts of work. And now that's my focus. I'm finishing my degree, obviously, but it's cool to slowly transition and have that middle period of, yes, I'm doing school and I'm putting everything I can into school, but I'm going to come out of college with a lot of great job opportunities and really a lot of open doors and pathways.
If I might add a little bit, I know I personally, I haven't had an internship, but I have worked a lot. I work not only at the school, but outside of the school. Currently, over the summer, I was a part of young professional ensembles, basically community ensembles that I was accepted to and then kind of help lead the percussion section. I'm currently in a group called the Symphonic Winds of the Pacific, which is a community band in the area that is young professionals sort of thing. I've really enjoyed that. But I've also had the opportunity to teach through a professor of mine. I was recently hired by her to help teach private lessons in her private studio. And it was, a professor that I met here and now work for. So a lot of your connections also just come through your professors. It's not uncommon to just get a job through a professor. And not that it's always the case. Like some people just go and branch out on their own. But yeah, plenty of job opportunities after the fact. And your professors are key connections to have, as well as your peers. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had any particular internships, but I kind of branched out on my own, I guess you could say. I teach a lot of private lessons. I coach cello specifically at like high schools. I'll come in like once a week and work with the cello section. I do like local performances like here or like over the summer I go home and I do a huge like whole summer, like just continuous performances. And it's, you know, I kind of prepare this stuff throughout the school year in advance. And my teacher will help me with that, as far as like learning how to communicate or network with people in my town, because I'm from Virginia, so it's completely opposite side of the country. But he still gives me information or advice and help in ways that I can still do things when I'm home.
And I'd also say there's a third route that none of us have really talked about, which is that a lot of the students hire each other for all sorts of stuff. I've gotten to hire Ian for all sorts of things. I've been hired by past students who, like, I'm playing a run of Into the Woods next week, just because Andres knew that we're great friends and we met when he was a student and now he's graduated and now he's doing work and he's bringing me into that sort of thing. And that's also very common.
I can add that, it depends on your major, what it is you're going to go do after Chapman, of course. Our music education program. So after you do the 4+1, 100% placement. So everybody who graduates from that program gets a job in the K through 12 teaching world, which is pretty astounding. As these folks have just described, our performers perform in various ways, which is fantastic. Our composers almost always consistently go on to grad school in composition. If that's what they want to do, they get in. They always get in, which is a wonderful thing. And I run the BA program. Besides being chair, I run the BA and music program, and my students go off in all different directions after the BA. But for example, those who want to go on in musicology to become music history professors, also 100% placement. They always get into grad school and they always get jobs. So grad school is a slow process, but we do it successfully by setting them up here at Chapman. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat or you can just unmute and holler it out.
All right, we got a few more. What different small ensembles are there at Chapman? Do they vary year to year based on performers? Or are they specific ensembles that are built in classes?
That is a great question. The small ensembles run, almost all of them run every semester. Maybe I'll ask Michael and Ian and Connor to talk about your small ensemble experience, but we have, there's like 20 of them and almost all of them just run every semester. So the population changes within them sometimes, but we run new music ensemble every semester, mariachi every semester. There are strings groups, woodwinds and brass groups, piano duos every semester. So your teacher will just figure out where to put everybody, but everybody who wants or needs an opportunity to be in a small ensemble will have one every semester. It'll just be a question of which one or how many. Thoughts about small ensembles, you three?
Oh, I could start. So for the strings, at least, with the string quartets or string trios or whatever they end up deciding to put you in, usually they kind of base this off of like our initial orchestra auditions at the beginning of the year, because typically people who are enrolled in orchestra are probably also going to enroll in chamber. And so, you know, we have our like representative quartet called the Temianka Quartet, and usually the best get into that, and then they have other quartets or trios. Or like this year, I think we have a trio with like woodwinds and strings. So sometimes we'll mix. I personally don't know how often that happens, but you know, it is a thing. And then, yeah, I'll let somebody else speak.
I think the only reason we wouldn't have a ensemble is just for some sort of like personnel requirement. So usually we have a woodwind quintet. This semester we're taking the semester off from woodwind quintet just because of our availability of French horn players, unless they finally got one. But I think some of them rotate. But there's also just a lot of interest. Like if you want to do a weirder ensemble that has rep that you really like, yeah, just like email Tim and like he'll put it together. And that's not uncommon. That happens and it's great.
All right, so I answered one of the questions in the chat, but that question was if it's possible to minor in an academic field while pursuing a BM in music education. And the answer is yes, you can minor in anything on campus with any music major. The next question is, I'm not sure if we have our stats on hand, but do you know approximately how many woodwind performance majors there currently are in the conservatory?
Oh, I almost know the answer to that off the top of my head. Yeah. So woodwind performance majors, there are 20 to 30 something over the 4 years. Woodwind and brass players are many, many more. So there are performance majors, but then also people who might major in music ed or major in the composition degree or major in the BA, or they might be minors, or they might be chemistry majors, and they participate with the wood, wind, and brass area. So there's 20 some odd performance majors, but many more woodwind players. That makes sense.
And part of the reason for that is a lot of education and composition majors come in with a performance scholarship. There's lots of performance scholarship opportunities here. And so even if you're not a performance major, oftentimes you'll also be treated like one, which is great in a lot of ways. And that's why it's not uncommon to see a lot of people doubling in performance, which is really cool and a cool part of our program.
All right, I think this question is geared towards our students, especially, I think all of them are double majors and one with some minors. How does the workload feel? The course load, how much coursework and workload does it feel like handling a double or triple major with a BM?
I will say it's not easy, and it is a lot of work, but it is definitely manageable. I think you just have to you have to plan everything out ahead of time and learn how to manage your schedule. That's one thing I've felt I've gotten a lot better at. But you know, understanding going through with our great academic advisor, the course schedule, and I need to take this semester, this semester, and all that. Make sure you'll graduate on time. It is possible to double major. Triple is pretty rare, but it's been done. I don't know any instances of it, but it's definitely manageable. It's not easy, and it is a lot of work, but you could do it. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
it.
our concertmaster violin player 4 years ago, 3 years ago, her name was Danielle. She's absolutely incredible. Did she win the concerto ordinario competition? I think she did. And she was also pre-med. Super possible. And now she's off doing a lot of like medical work in her field. But yeah, our one of our amazing trumpet players double majors in math, and that's great. There's so much of that going on. People really love it.
I'm sure all of you can talk about your classmates who do multiple instruments. So there's a question about opportunities to play multiple instruments. Can you play something even if you don't major in?
Yeah, I can tackle this one. I tend somehow to always be playing an instrument that's not my major, which is great. I love that. I'm actually like a big believer in like not having a main instrument for other weird reasons. But like I play bass in big bands. I've played some upright bass in orchestra, very little. They wouldn't tell you that. For a whole year, I played French horn in both orchestra and wind symphony while also playing trumpet in small ensembles. I play electric guitar in the commercial ensemble. I play piano in all sorts of other places. Everyone has to take piano lessons. But like, yes, constantly all the time. Sometimes out of just they want to make that happen for you. Sometimes they need you. Like I can guarantee you, like as a violin player and a French horn player, you know, we need both of those a lot, and we would make sure that you get both in whatever situations that you're looking to play them in. And eventually, like as you go down, what I found, as you go down the college route, you kind of end up naturally very finding your center in how you want to do that. And oftentimes that means doing like a couple things, and that's like really great.
Yeah, there are a lot of students who will end up playing different things, especially with some like of our, I guess not unorthodox, but our different small ensembles. So like our early music, there are students who will just pick up a different instrument because it's unique to that ensemble. Same with like mariachi, that ensemble. I know someone who's a vocalist but plays trumpet, so it's like, okay, yeah, they're picking those things up. So it's kind of interesting that it does happen, and there are plenty of opportunities for people to perform, even if it's not their main instrument. So yeah.
I'll also say, even if you're not majoring in it, you're also allowed to still register in lessons for violin if you would still like to do violin, but your major is French horn or something like that. There's no limit that I'm aware of, except for the limit of your schedule.
And the next question is, approximately how many composition majors are currently attending?
Oh, I see that chat now. 20-ish, give or take. There are 5 or 6 in each class year. It's a small program, and that's, in my opinion, a good thing, because it means you work really closely with your composition teachers, and you take private composition instruction with them, certainly by the time you're a junior and a senior, so that you can work on your own pieces, and you're going to work toward a recital of your works. Right, a full recital that is entirely stuff that you wrote.
Yes, Connor's having his composition recital this weekend.
Is it this weekend? How exciting!
Yeah, it's going to be
I didn't
on
realize
Sunday.
it was so soon. How exciting! You want to tell us what is the piece you're most excited about, Connor?
Yeah, I'll tell you about the top 3. And they're all in the back half. I have a 55-piece orchestra coming on Sunday to play music all synchronized live to picture in a film music repertoire excerpt situation. And it is just one of those things where I kept asking people if they were interested, and everyone just kept saying yes, because people love doing studio work here and they love getting that sort of experience. And so you can do that here if you are nice to people for 3 years, which is a pretty big deal. I really have never heard of any student ever getting that anywhere else. And just because we have the tech faculty to support that and the performance base to accomplish that, and it's fantastic.
All right, we got a bunch of questions coming through. Ian, you have a specific one. How many performances does percussion ensemble have a year?
I guess per year it's 2. So we have 1 each semester. We just had our most previous one last weekend. Usually it situates itself in like the latter half of the semester. Usually we get probably like 10 or 11 to 12 weeks of rehearsal, and then we have our concert. It kind of varies each time to time what we end up playing, but usually it ends up being just like a whole mess of different pieces. It's kind of fun. But yeah, that's the answer.
All right, before we delve into a juicy question here, I'm going to answer real quickly. Perspective lessons are available. There is on our website. You just go to schedule a tour and a lesson, and you can sign up, and I will schedule that for you. And we have it available. It's based on availability of the faculty member, but I will try to accommodate your lesson in any instrument or voice. So just Google Chapman Music Tour, or go to chapman.edu/music to find the tour form.
Your
All right.
future teacher would love to meet you.
Students, current students, can you please give us some insights about the availability of practice rooms and what first-year housing communities are like?
So do you want to go, Mark?
No, go ahead, Ian.
Okay, so I was a resident advisor in the dorms for 2 years, so I'm very familiar with the residence halls, and I think it's a great place to be. The way they work things out is they have fenestras, which are basically groups of people in your major, and you live with them in that same area. So you each like individually get your own room with like 1 or 2 other people, but they will be people in your college. So you might be placed with a theater major, you might be placed with a dance major, you might be placed with another music major. But that's how you're placed in those houses, or not houses, rooms. And so you'll be living with people kind of associated with you. It's super fun culture. Usually your resident advisor is also a part of that community as well. They put on plenty of like events throughout the year. They're always very helpful, try to be helpful throughout the whole year and be like a kind of guiding or connecting person through your first year, helping you with whatever issues may be having, whether it's classes, roommate issues, etc. I had a great experience doing that, And I even living in the first year dorms, it's just they do a very good job, and it's wonderful to be a part of that. So yeah.
I'll answer the practice room bit. So we have, I think, like 5 or 6 grand piano practice rooms, and for piano majors, you can reserve a schedule of practice hours so that nobody's like stealing the good room that of your instrument. And then we have, I don't know off the top of my head, but we have like a bunch of other like smaller
18.
practice rooms. Okay.
18 total.
And typically, I think generally every other practice room has at least an upright piano in them. And as far as availability, I think that really is just on the time of day and which day. I think typically Monday and Wednesdays around like 1 to 4 or 5-ish is usually the busy hours of the practice room. So you kind of have to be like quick in those hours. But I mean, other than that, like generally it's not a huge struggle bus finding a practice room. And we have various other like small, like we have a small ensemble rehearsal room for like our quartets. We have a few like duo piano rooms, stuff like that as well. So.
And just to jump in here, practice rooms are available 7 a.m. to midnight every single day.
And then you should go home and sleep. I'll take the next one, just because we don't have any singers on our student panel right now, because they're all in choir rehearsal right now. So I couldn't schedule it for one group or for both groups. Somebody asked if choirs and vocal jazz, how many performances in the year? And do they tour around and do competitions and stuff? Yes, they tour. We have 3 choirs. We have a treble choir, which is higher voices. We have the university choir. We have the university singers. And those last 2 are both mixed voices. Each one of those gets their own performance every semester. And then most of them get the opportunity to perform in other contexts as well. So for example, here in the fall, I just went last week to the University Singers concert, which was in our Fish Interfaith Center. It was glorious. It was just beautiful. 30 something voices in that space was amazing. And then they and the university choir will get to perform again at what we call our Wassail concert, which is in December, to sort of get ready for the holiday season. So 1 or 2 performances at least every semester.
And
one of the
that's
choirs,
also
no, go ahead.
Sorry,
Connor.
Dr. Sternfeld.
No,
That's
no.
also not counting vocal jazz ensemble, which is its
Yes.
own separate thing, which you can also be in concurrently with the other groups.
Yes,
And they also
exactly.
do 1 performance a year, I think, and that usually has dedicated solos built into that class. I perform with them.
Yep.
They're amazing.
They
And
are.
those students often go off and then get picked up and do other commercial singing from
Yep.
what I've seen, which is
That's
fun.
exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. And the choirs tour, sometimes they go on tour in January between our fall semester and our spring semester. They get to tour around the state and or country. And there's opportunities throughout the year where the choirs and some chamber groups and even some of our bigger groups go out locally to high schools and communities in the area to tour around, which is great.
Thank you.
Do most of the students live on campus? Is there a strong community feel at Chapman? I know that there is a requirement to live on campus, and I believe it's upping to 3 years next year. But so those of you seniors probably didn't have that requirement, but go ahead and speak to.
Yeah, so the current requirement now for incoming freshmen starting this year was you are required to live on campus for 3 years. So I mean, I had a 2-year limit, so it's a little different from me. But even then, I would say there's still a very strong community feel, especially with the people that you kind of get housed with. If you really like them, things will go out well. I personally am not as connected with my roommates, but I know a group of 4 people who 2 of them still live together in a house, basically. And so, yeah, I feel like there is still a strong community with those dorms. Yeah, and the housing is also really amazing. It's like they're really nice apartments for the upper division students. Like your first year, you'll have dorms, which are great, but they're dorms. And then you have like your more apartment style, which is like you have your own kitchen and some other nicer things that you have.
The apartments are the nicest place you'll live for the rest of your life. It's like, it's ridiculous. My sister's living in one right now, and I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, but I would say there's just a strong community, especially, I mean, like once you get situated with the people you like in your housing, then it's pretty good. But in the freshman dorms, you know, you're going to know most people in your hall or at least recognize them. So, yeah.
I just wanted to add that if you are local and live within 20 miles, the requirement does not have to apply to you. You can have that requirement waived. All right. The next question is it possible for students to be in multiple choirs or all of the choirs?
That is a great question. Technically, no, but you'll still have multiple opportunities to sing. So our two, there's 3 choirs, 2 of them are by audition. So you would sing at the beginning of the year every year. And if you're you're going to get into a choir. It just depends which choir. So they're going to figure out where to put you. Where do they need more sopranos? Where do they need more basses? So you will get into a choir. It's possible scheduling wise to do 2 of them. It's challenging. And vocal jazz is open to by audition to anyone. So you could absolutely add vocal jazz. Also opera to any of the choirs. So scheduling wise, it's kind of tricky to do more than one, but there are other opportunities to sing.
You also probably wouldn't want to, just very honestly. That's a
Yeah.
lot of work.
It's a lot of hours.
I mean, more power to you, but I don't know anyone that does that.
Yeah.
And they're all very happy and excited to keep singing.
I see this question from Elliot, which we might be able to answer by email.
I'm going to just generically answer it.
Okay.
Basically, for anyone who's applying, if you apply early action, but you're not able to complete your pre-screen or audition before the deadline, you will just get rolled over automatically to regular decision, which means you'll just audition in February. There's no problem. If you don't get it in, your application is not tossed out. You only audition for 1 major and 1 instrument. But as you can see, many of these students have added second majors later, so it's not an issue.
Would that apply as well to how I would audition as well? Like, will I continue to do the pre-screening? Will I need to turn one in eventually?
Yes. Every applicant requires a pre-screen audition, and then that would trigger a call. You'll be reviewed for a callback audition, and then if you're called back, you'll be given a series of dates that you can choose from.
Thank you.
We're getting towards the end of here on time. Let's see what these last questions are. We have how many performance ensembles are students typically in each semester?
Yeah, it depends on your major and what your instrument is. So a singer might do 1 ensemble, a choir. A singer might do 2, choir and opera if they choose to. An instrumentalist, depending on your instrument, might do a large ensemble and a small ensemble. They might do a large ensemble and 2 small ensembles. Ian and Connor and Michael, do you want to speak to your experience from the instrumental side?
I'll speak very quickly about my side. As a string player, typically you're in orchestra and chamber ensemble. There are like rare instances. Sometimes I was put in like 2 chamber groups. I was put in a string quartet and a string trio. You know, if you're interested in more, there's always senior recitals happening, and people ask people to play for senior recitals, which is typically ensembles, stuff like that. So there's always opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think most common, especially among instrumentalists, is small ensemble, large ensemble. Obviously, there are people who do more than that. In winds and brass, it's pretty common to do both wind, symphony, and orchestra. I also do that as a percussionist. Sometimes, like Michael said, you know, you'll be called in to senior recital performances as a percussionist. You'll also just be called everywhere. There's someone who helped out with opera Chapman. There's this recent fall, I get called to do choir concerts all the time. I get I did orchestra when I wasn't enrolled in orchestra my freshman year, just because they're going to need people. So sometimes you just you get pulled around a little bit and be like, you should do this, and then you do it, and it's good performance opportunity, even though you're not officially enrolled. So yeah.
Yeah, I think my max at one point was probably 5. 5, probably unofficially 6. Just because the wind players, like we work a lot. There's a lot of need for us everywhere. And going back, if you're a multi-instrumentalist, you will get pulled everywhere. And there's a lot of really good in that. One of the things you have to learn pretty quick is how to actually say no to things. That's the bigger issue at Chapman, is like, how can you actually figure out where your limit is and just do the things that you're interested in, and maybe even do some of the things that you're interested in but you can't do just because of the time and emotional well-being and physical well-being. Don't get sick. But that's more so the problem at Chapman, which is a really good problem to have.
Since we're coming up on time, I'll just answer the next one quickly, which says, are there any music department scholarships available? Yes. When you audition, you will be considered for what we call our Chapman Celebrates Talent Award scholarship, which means that if we're able to offer you a spot and also some scholarship funding, you'll hear about that. Katie can say more about how the timing works, but the answer is yes, you will be considered for that. And we give out as much money as we possibly can to as many of you as we possibly can.
For the pre-screen auditions, it's a rolling timeline. So as soon as the director reviews that, admissions reviews it, you'll get an email with a result. Right now, those emails are going out for the early action deadline. So as soon as it's just rolling. It could be 1 to 2 weeks, usually at the most.
I see this question about who gets to play for the opera, and if it's reserved for upperclassmen. Here's the lovely thing about Chapman: nothing is reserved for upperclassmen. The teachers put who needs to be where they need to be, and so it's entirely possible that you could have a big old solo in the opera or the choir or the wind symphony as a first year. Would you agree with that, students?
Yeah, and the pit orchestra is actually just the orchestra, the Chapman
Right.
Orchestra. It might be that the winds and brass might be a little select based on what the show is and how many instruments are required. Oftentimes they don't need everyone. But yeah, if you want to do it, like, just throw your name in the hat, so throw your name in the ring and get in there.
Yeah, I was in the pit orchestra my freshman year for the opera. I haven't done it since, but I will do it this spring alongside a couple other percussionists, probably. Yeah.
I think that was our last question, but Jessica, I think you have a final question for everyone.
Yes, I'll stay for a moment. If any prospective students or your parents want to ask me anything, that's totally fine. Our students all have to go to class in a moment, or at least some of them do. So Ian and Michael and Connor, my last question is, do you have any last word of advice or tips about why Chapman was the right place for you?
Can I go first because I have to leave?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, like reflecting, is the small focus. That's really what I'm glad that I went to Chapman for. I would not have had as many performance opportunities at a larger university, and I would not be as close with as many professors as I am here. Like, granted, I don't love every professor, but I know every professor. They all know me, and that's something I feel like you wouldn't get anywhere else. So if there was one reason I had to like bullet point on Chapman, it would be that. Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to
Thank
leave
you,
now.
Ian. Go to class. Michael or Connor, any last words?
Yeah, I mean, besides the stuff that Ian said, which I think is 100% true, I would say even at this point, 4 years in, I'm friends with some of my professors, and that's really cool. I would say beyond that, location is really critical, especially in my field of work. I was originally choosing between this and I was headed at Tulane as well for jazz performance, and I picked this every time. It took me a while to get there, but I picked this because when you're in SoCal, you can have so many more work opportunities that only exist here. And it's not just film music that's like that. There's so much stuff that if you are in Southern California, these doors are open that just aren't open the rest of the world. And Chapman has amazing access to Los Angeles and the surrounding Southern California area. And that has been really, really critical for me. That combined with the small, medium size, I wouldn't say Chapman small, but medium size, perfect sweet spot size really sets a lot of people up for a lot of success.
Yeah, for me, I think there's a number of things. I think I want to start off with initially. My first year I spent at another school, and then my cello professor transferred over to Chapman, and I was like, well, I went to this school for you, so I'm following. I actually wasn't aware of Chapman. I only auditioned for that teacher, but since being at Chapman, I have only found reasons to be happy about being here. With like my tech minor, we have probably one of the best tech labs that I'm aware of, like better than USC from what I hear. The professors, yeah, they kind of like what Connor said, you kind of become friends in a way with some of them. I've been working with my cello professor for 5 years, and I couldn't think of learning or studying with anybody else now. There's such a impression it leaves on you as an artist, and going forward. They give you a lot of passion, I think as well. There's always encouragement. It's never demeaning in my personal experience. It's always this upwards and onwards, as my teacher says.
All right. Thanks, Michael and Connor, and thanks to Ian who went to class. I'll be happy to stay for a minute if anybody has any leftover questions. If not, I am very grateful that you are interested in the Conservatory of Music here at Chapman. I really appreciate your time. If you have any questions, send an email to music@chapman.edu and it will find its way to the person who can answer it. Okay. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. Bye, folks.
Hi, Dr. Sternfeld.
Hi, Elliot.
So I recently turned in my Common App for violin performance, and if I want to double major with music education, how would I go about doing that? Because on Common App I only turned in for violin performance.
Yes. So you would declare the other major once you come to Chapman and start. You don't need to audition again. You already auditioned. You would just need to sort of finish the application process for the music education program, which is really simple. You basically talk to the professor who's in charge of the music ed program, and you make sure you understand what the degree involves, and she will say, great, you're a very well-suited double. So you would do it when you get here in August or September.
Okay.
You'd be taking all the same classes the first semester anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very easy process. Once you're here, it's very easy to add the second.
Thank you. And
Sure.
also one more question. Right now I'm actually with the Chapman Orchestra. I auditioned recently and I'm with them.
Oh, cool. You're playing with them now?
Yeah, we
great.
have a
I saw
concert
you a couple
recording.
weeks ago in that case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a question regarding that. So we're gonna be going on tour and I need specific requirements. They asked me to reach out to you. I just thought, like, by chance, would you be able to help me with the requirements?
Yeah, so you're not currently a Chapman student except
No.
for orchestra, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so send me an email, sternfell@chapman.edu. Send me an email and remind me of this question, and I'll get the official wording of the policy. I'm not sure you're allowed to go. I think it has to be full enrolled degree seeking Chapman students, but let me make sure that that's correct and I'll get back to you on it.
Thank you so much.
Sure. It was nice to chat with you.
Nice to meet you.
Elliot, I just wanted to circle back to your question. You said that you applied EA, but you haven't done a pre-screen video yet.
Yes, and I got the extension until this Friday, so I will be turning it in eventually.
Just just so you know, it'll probably get reviewed pretty quickly after you turn it in. And that if you're invited for a callback audition, that early action callback audition date will be December 1st. So if you're available on December 1st and you get the callback audition, you would need to come on that day to complete your early action application. Otherwise, you'll still get rolled over to regular decision. So I don't want you to stress out and get your video done by Friday if you're not even available on December 1st. If you're not, don't worry about it. Just get it in when you get it in, and then you can audition in February also. So that's another option for you.
Okay, and would that kind of like diminish my quality of and like entering Chapman? Okay.
Nope. Yeah.
No, I
So
don't want you to stress about it. You know, don't, like, you know, it's a lot of work to do that pre-screen audition. So, you know, if you get it on Friday, great. But if you don't, it's okay. You can still audition in February. Your application will be considered with equal weight.
They'll be
Okay.
very happy to see you either way, I'm quite sure.
Thank you. And for the pre-screening, when would I have to turn that in if I do not turn it in on the 8th?
By January 15th.
Oh, okay.
See the stress come off your shoulders.
Yeah. I
Plenty of
put so
time.
many other ones.
Early action is so early. So
Yeah. I really want to go to Chapman, so just want to get it
we
through.
really want you to come, Elliot. Can't wait to see your video and all that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I'll get that email to you as well.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good day.